Oh, hello.
Hi.
How are
I,
you?
I was keen, is what I was. Yeah.
Cool. So how's it going?
All right. Haven't left the house because that is what lockdown does for you. We went on our walk. We went a different route up the street today,
Really?
just for devilment. I looked through the window of our local pub, like the little match girl, just like looking in.
Are they missing you as much as you're missing them?
I think so. It was implied. They didn't say it, but it was implied. What's new in travel? What's happening this week?
Yeah, it's been crazy to be honest. Black Friday definitely worked. It's kind of started a bit of a momentum basically. We sold quite a lot of holidays ultimately, and I think one trend we're noticing definitely is bucket list holidays.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Mm. So just kind of like where people haven't been able to travel for the last year, ultimately, a lot of people are putting off those kind of once in a lifetime trips of like, oh, maybe one day, maybe one day. But obviously they haven't spent their travel budget for the year. So they're now basically putting 2 years worth of travel budget together and ticking off those kind of like, I've always wanted to do Japan. I've always wanted to do Route 66. I've always wanted to do Alaska. So all those type of far-flung
Right.
holidays, they're actually the holidays that are recovering faster than, you know, the kind of typical holidays like Tenerife, the Canaries, Turkey. They're still doing well, but we're noticing definitely there's a lot more appetite out there for definitely what I call bucket list holidays.
Oh, cool. I was obsessed with that £599 New York trip. I looked at that so many times.
There's a couple of them in there. There's a couple of them. A
Yeah.
lot of the suppliers as well, because Black Friday's done so well, they've actually extended them as well, kind of to the end of this week and beyond. So one of the suppliers we work for, they've done a fantastic no deposit. So you don't have to pay any deposit ultimately if you want to book your holiday. You kind of have to agree to pay by direct debit. That's the only clause type of thing. But if you're willing to pay for direct debit, and you can book a holiday all the way up until 2022, the end of. So a really popular one, I didn't promote it on our page, unfortunately, but a really popular one was New York for 2022. So people wanted to get away for Christmas, 2022,
All
New
right.
York. Zero deposit now and spread that payment over, what is it, ultimately like 20 odd months. So really good way to kind of get a holiday in for 2022.
And is that for good places though, not
Yeah.
just opportunists?
Yeah, definitely. So that's kind of working with our partner company, Hayes Travel. So they've got their own tour operating business. So we can kind of package our own holidays with them. So I can log into the system. And it generally applies to more long haul destinations, but definitely all of America's covered by it. You can definitely get to places far flung like Dubai and Japan, Asia, those types of places as well. So loads of opportunities around that one as well. They do some really great, normally anyway, the deposit's usually about £50 anyway per person if you are willing to pay by direct debit. So they're already a really great supplier of ours that have really great terms. But yeah, they just went, no deposit, just go for it, book a holiday.
Because are people chancing like winter breaks now? Because I'm thinking about New Year, and
Mm,
normally we do something, and the idea of just
mm.
sitting in the house, it's been such a horror show of a
Yeah.
year. It doesn't feel quite right. I mean, neither does it feel like I want to do the same thing I did last year, which is sit in a pub and go, "This is going to be the best year ever," which is that
2021.
was not true, not even a little bit true.
um, it's people are definitely. I think what you've got is you've got two camps ultimately. You've got those people who will willingly take the risk and they will book something for this winter, and they're people who are probably a little bit more adventurous and would be willing to risk it anyway. There are safe destinations that you can go to. The Canaries is a popular destination for a winter break this year, as well as
How warm
Dubai.
is it?
It is warm. It's about, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's definitely warm. It's kind of winter sun destination. So you're looking in the 20s territory anyway, off the top of my head. And from what I've been told, Dubai is around about the 30s territory as well.
Yeah,
So they're both
I've
really good warm destinations.
I've done that one, and it doesn't feel like the days are too short in Dubai either, because we've gone a couple of times in November.
Mm,
And one of the things that you notice about the sort of the Euro trips that are sunshine winter breaks is the sun starts just setting like at
mm.
about 3, and then it gets a bit chillier and a bit chillier. So
Yeah,
that's always put me off going somewhere like Canaries.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'd
Yeah,
want to go a bit further around the sun.
this is why Dubai is a really popular one because you are going further afield type of thing. And
Yeah,
it's not actually that long a flight, really, all things
like
considered. I
seven
think,
hours, and
yeah, around
with a
about that
free bar.
territory.
It's an
Yeah.
absolute joy. Which I flew Royal Brunei once because it was the best
Yeah,
deal and it was a dry flight. Oh, that was a
yeah, that's a choice.
mistake.
That's a
So
choice.
we've got a question in from Andy Hop 007 who wants
Yeah.
to know what your thoughts are on the vaccination passport.
Mm.
Because you said
Yeah,
you've started to see some movement in how countries are treating
yeah. There's
tourists.
there's rumours that this will be the case. Nobody's kind of jumped the gun yet and officially said that they're going to introduce like a vaccine passport. So if you can only travel if you've got a vaccine, it's highly likely that it will. Just knowing how this year's gone and kind of how they're using the PCR test and how the antigen test is kind of becoming a requirement for different countries. I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of a vaccination passport coming in place, particularly for countries that maybe are kind of not dealing as well with kind of COVID cases as other countries. Is early at the moment because obviously we still don't have the vaccine yet, but there's no official rumor. I haven't kind of read anything. So usually it's not that we get an official line from the government, but we usually kind of get rumblings of this is in the way, this is coming. Nothing official yet, but there is talk of it's highly likely to happen. So I would expect it to come into place, definitely.
And do you think it'd be a case for people who haven't had the vaccine won't be able to travel, or will they just be restricted in where they can go? Because obviously some countries will be so desperate for tourism that presumably they won't close the doors too tightly. But
yeah, I think what you'll probably find, and I don't know this is fact, this is just talking off the top of my head, but probably countries like Australia and New Zealand that are being really strict at the moment about travel requirements. I would expect countries like that to possibly introduce some sort of passport for vaccination. Whereas probably, like the Canaries or the summer sun holidays that we're used to in kind of Europe, I'd expect them to, at the most, they would introduce kind of a test, so you kind of have to take a COVID test before you go. I don't think they'll require you to, but until kind of people start kind of setting the tone of what's going to happen, I think then other countries will kind of decide then what they're going to do. I'm hoping it won't come to that, because I think what we're trying to do is just reduce the number of people who are in hospital rather than kind of make it a complete blanket treatment. I think we're all accepting that COVID is going to be for the time being now, at least for the near future. So I think it's more about mitigating the risk rather than getting rid of it entirely. So I think what you'll find is if numbers start dropping, then requirements to enter different countries will drop as well.
Yeah, I guess. But with places like Australia and New Zealand, where they've worked quite hard to almost eradicate it, they are going to be the people that are least likely to
definitely at the moment they're the strictest, as in they've already, I think Australia have said that they're pretty much not expecting a return to travel until the end of next year now. So they're just being out there and saying, no, we don't want you if you've got any chance of kind of bringing the virus in. Just because, like I say, they've worked really hard to kind of contain it themselves and get a grasp on it. And I think in their eyes, they've taken the route of let's just close the borders and contain this rather than kind of do what we've done, where we've opened it, closed it and given it a go type of thing. They've just chosen to go the opposite direction instead.
Which is fair. However, we can't criticize anybody's choice in how they do this, I guess.
No, exactly.
So in terms of travel now, where if someone really wanted to go, where would you say they should go?
Yeah, so definitely, I think the Canaries is a really popular one. So Lanzarote, Tenerife, those types of places, they're doing really, really well. And like I say, Dubai, they're the main two off the top of my head that are kind of, I know there's air bridges, so you can go without having to isolate on arrival or on return. There is talk of the Canaries requiring you to take a PCR test, which is kind of the more expensive. I think it's about £120 is the cheapest I've seen for kind of getting a test to go. Saw an article yesterday, though, and this is meant to be coming into law in the next couple of days. They're changing the rules now, and they're basically saying they're allowing you to take an antigen test, which I think the plan is to have that as a requirement for flights anyway moving forward. Don't know who's paying for it. That hasn't come out of the woodwork yet. But ultimately, before you go on a flight, you'll have to take one of these tests anyway. The results are within 15 minutes. And basically, there's talk of that within 15 minutes, you'll have the clearance then to basically fly. And that will be the requirement to go to the Canaries. So I'm expecting probably by the end of this week, beginning of next, that if that does come into place, we'll know for a fact then if that's a thing.
And usually, obviously, winter, it's really cold, everybody's miserable. This is normally a big time to travel. Is it a big time now?
It's nowhere near the levels it should be, or it has historically been. But then,
looking forward to next year, because we've normally got an idea of where we're going by now.
Yeah.
For the summer break, but it just feels like not something we want to get our hopes upon, really. So
no, I think this is the thing. So definitely for the short term, people are willing to go. Like I say, those people who are a little bit more willing to not risk, but they're kind of not afraid, if you get me, of traveling, and they're willing to deal with the consequence of you've got to wear a mask around the resort, and they're willing to kind of go on holiday knowing that the experience may be different from what they're expecting. You've definitely got those people who are willing to do that, and there are destinations that they can go to. I can't name them all off the top of my head because there's some islands in the Caribbean as well where you can go to. So there's a lot more options out there than you would think at the moment if people are willing to go away. But it's like you say, the general consensus is a lot of people are just kind of going, look, let's just buy that time, save our money, and kind of look more to the future. So definitely kind of summer bookings next year are at their highest at the moment. So people are booking to kind of get away for the summer holidays and that peak period next year. And then
people
kind of
getting
beyond...
bougier? Is that the same as the bucket trip holidays? You've seen people spending a little bit more, going a tier up to what you expect?
Yeah,
or?
apparently. So the figures we get from head office for the whole group now, so there's something like 400 of us who are part of Not Just Travel. So we get weekly statistics kind of what's selling across the entire group as well. And it seems they said like the average spend per ticket is higher than it has been historically as well. And that's not because prices are higher. That is because people are, like you say, they're either extending, they're going, if they go for 7, they may be choosing to go 10, or they're choosing to maybe go up a tier. Well, it's very much a treat yourself. And I think this year, if anything, has done that to people. They've kind of just gone, why not? Let's just kind of treat ourselves. Like you say, those premium economy flights and business class flights that went out on that Black Friday offer flew out, absolutely flew out type of thing.
I'm still not sure we did the right thing not acting on that. I'm going to be thinking about this till I die.
I was tempted. There was a really great one that went around as well. That was business class as well to Iceland, and Iceland to New York as well. So it was a multi-center trip. So that was a really nice one as well. There's been some great ones, really great ones. Unfortunately, I was a bit ill over the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to kind of share as many of them as I wanted. But yeah, it's been a fantastic. But like I said, it's extended. So some of those offers are still there. I'm wearing my Disney Christmas jumper today because it's been Christmas party season already. I've been invited to my first virtual Christmas party. One of our supplier partners, Wendy Wu, who specialises in kind of organised tours in Asia. So they kind of do more the Asia part of the world, but they do kind of organised tours. They invited us to a Christmas party, sent us a really lovely hamper, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah. But they've extended their Black Friday offer as well. So I've got it open on my screen because it's fantastic. So basically it's up until the 14th of December they've extended it to. And if you book onto one of their tours, and I could talk for hours about Wendy Wu tours. What they don't cover in Asia, and they do Chile as well. They don't just do Asia, but they're known for Asia. But they do kind of group organized tours, and you can basically get free flights if you're willing to book before December 14th this year. So it's a saving of around about £800 per person on a holiday now.
What are you talking about now? Group organised tours made my face go. What is a group organised tour? Tell me it's not what I think it is.
It is, but this is definitely the modern version of it. So it's not a case of somebody's walking around with a flag type of thing, but it is definitely an escorted. I prefer the term escorted tour rather than kind of group tours.
And escorted in what way? Like multi-destination or?
Yeah. So ultimately you kind of, so I did have it on the screen, but I've lost it now. But say Wendy, what they'll do is they'll do like a 17-day kind of China tour. So you will kind of check into the hotel at the same time, or the same hotel as everybody else. And you'll have kind of a tour guide who will kind of guide you around there. They're available there to kind of help you. So if you've got any questions of like, where's good to eat and this, that, and the other, but then they will then take you around to the other destinations as well. So you do stop off at multiple kind of points across China. And you are in the same group. So that's what I mean. They are escorted tours, but like they do give you free time as well. I can see it's not your cup of tea, absolutely.
Oh no! What did you hate the people? We went on a boat trip in Mexico, and everybody came away from the boat trip like a weird family, and they're like, "Oh, let's all meet for drinks later." What's wrong with people? Yeah, it's not for me.
It's not your cup of tea, no.
It's not for me.
The type of person who's aimed at is somebody who's maybe not so adventurous, who kind of wants to experience places like India, the Far East, Cambodia, places like that, where there's maybe a language barrier, cultural barrier, but they definitely want to connect with the local culture and get the authentic experience. So if you want to do that, and solo travel.
I think maybe, I was going to say maybe on my own, but I think, yes. I don't think I'd want to do that because it's too easy to be cliquey and turn into a little group against someone else. It's like high school. Again.
No, absolutely. They're not for everyone, but if you are somebody who's interested in seeing a part of the world and you want a helping hand, then Wendy will definitely, when it comes to China, there's no one better to experience kind of China, and they've got access to experiences that you wouldn't be able to get on the high street. So kind of they were explaining you get to see a part of the Great Wall of China that nobody else gets to go to because they've got direct contacts in the Chinese government. They're the only group that are allowed to go. And she did say the name. I'm not going to be able to remember the name of the part of the Great Wall. I can get them on a video call if anyone wants to kind of find out.
I kind of want to be sold it. I'm like, I know it's not for me, but I really wish it was. I wish I was that person.
I think it goes back to this whole thing, though, about bucket list holidays. And I think if you've always wanted to experience kind of China or Japan, and you've been afraid to, for every reason, of you're not somebody who's very adventurous, you're kind of scared of foreign cultures, then that's where kind of escorted and kind of organized tours are a great thing for you, because you do get plenty of free time to do your own thing, but you've always got their helping hand to make sure that you're seeing the best sites in the best way, in kind of a really good, authentic, cultural way.
Yeah, because when we went to Budapest, we couldn't really find anyone who wanted to speak English to us. Not necessarily they couldn't, they just didn't want it. Because we booked it again, classic me, booked it on a Groupon deal. And we're like, why is it so cheap? Because it was like in the middle of nowhere, also in the red light district.
Yeah.
Reasonably nice hotel, but very much surrounded by red light area activity. There was a sign in the middle of one of the roads, and it had sex on loads of arrows, and every road led to sex, which was like really quite stunning. But yeah, and neither of us wanted to say anything. We were in this taxi. The driver was like heavily smoking in the front, and we were too scared of being murdered to say anything. And then we had to have KFC on the first day because we didn't know where to go. We were too scared to ask anybody. So we were like, at least with KFC, we know we can point in a picture. It was like the worst, like most British, humiliatingly British behaviour. But yeah, it was one of those places that didn't naturally adapt to English speakers, which I respect. But when it's you in it, you hope they're going to be kind. So, and I love it there now. We've been back like 3 or 4 times. It's an amazing city. But based on that first day when nothing was open, because the way that the week round was different. So on a Sunday night, everything was closed. So, and that was our first day. So we were walking around, we're like, there is nothing open. It was meant to be like a Christmas break, but all the lights were off. No one was home. Don't go on Groupon. Buy your trips is I think where I was going with this story. But
there's usually a reason why those holidays are kind of the price they are, type of thing.
Excellent
it is
deal.
Somebody shifting kind of what's available type of thing.
It was too good to be true.
But that's the thing. So that's why organised tours can be a great option for you. They're not everyone's cup of tea. And there is another company that do kind of really young, trendier type of thing, and they're more kind of definitely the lighter side of escorted tours, whereby you have somebody who stays at the base, but you pretty much can run off and roam free as much as you want type of thing, but they're just there to kind of take you to the next port, and then you do stay in the same hotel, but you've got your own space type of thing. And then they basically go, right, okay, here's the I don't know, the car tour where we'll take you off to this national park type of thing, but then once you're there, then it's kind of, these are the highlights, do your own thing. They're definitely more kind of the younger, trendier side of organised tours. But there are options out there if you are somebody who's a little bit more afraid of kind of joining in with the groups. Because I'm the same as you type of thing. I'm not a massive fan of kind of the flag waving tour type of thing. But definitely I would happily take a Wendy Wu tour, because I think you see a really great side of kind of Asia.
But another one I can recommend just as a trip, if you want to do a DIY and feel like you're traveling, we did Nice, Cannes and Monaco, and they were all on one train line effectively, and it was so easy and so cheap to get. So I cannot stop telling people about it. It was one of the best trips I've ever been on. We hadn't really considered France. I mean, it's so close, but it's not sexy.
I think the south of France gets overlooked quite a lot because of how connected it is to the UK. I think a lot of people kind of don't think of the south of France as a really good kind of like summer holiday destination ultimately.
Yeah, whereas Cannes felt like out of reach and like it might as well be in LA. But then all of a sudden we were there, and it looks exactly like TV. I felt like it was in a film, but it was so cool. It was so easy to get to, and Nice was so cheap. Really. To get to. So that is a recommendation from me on a city break. Also on guided tours, do you deal with those breaks where you get your own personal driver?
In what way? It's in kind of, you've got somebody who kind of drives you around and
on multi-stop. Because I've done one of those, and it was again really awkward.
Really?
Well, because he was with us the whole time, so he was driving us like 4 or 5 hours, and again, because we were so polite in the back, it was like, yes, let's listen to this tape that's called UK Hits, but somehow it's got 10 Akon songs out of 30. I mean, I didn't even know Akon had 10 songs, but no, 7 hours from Canty.
So that what?
Yella.
At what point do you need to intervene and be like, do you take Bluetooth?
So, because they said private transport, but basically he was with us the whole trip, which was lovely. But we were going into all these beautiful hotels, and then he was staying in like the local digs, and we just felt like the worst people in the world.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how was your evening? Oh, we went out and we sat by the pool, and we had I had a lagoon prawn that was bigger than a baby's head, and he was like, yeah, I just hung out with the other drivers in this shed.
Yeah, that is road life, unfortunately, for a lot of these people who kind of are doing these things. Yeah, they don't get to stay in the nice hotels you get to stay in, unfortunately. No.
But it was unbelievable as a trip, but I don't think I would have done it knowing how long we spent in the car. Because I was so excited about the trip and like driving multi-stop, and because it was with a less reputable travel operator, Kieran.
No names.
I won't name names, but mysterious disappearances could be a pseudonym for them.
Yeah.
But it was obviously, it's an aggregator, so it was a tiny travel company. Because when we were at the airport and our transfer didn't turn up, we rang up and we were like, hi, where is our car? And they gave us like a local number.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, we thought we were booking with this shiny thing, but actually we were booking with this tiny estate agent, travel agent that didn't even have a website. So
yeah.
What should you look for? Other than go through a reputable travel agent like yourself, what should you look for when you're booking a holiday like that? That sort of, or anything that looks too good to be true?
I think that's definitely the big one, is definitely kind of check the credentials of the travel agency you're booking with. We've got a Trustpilot we're on Trustpilot, so you can check, and there are thousands of reviews of kind of holidays that we personally booked, but also people within NJT have booked. So that's definitely a good one as well. So check places like Review and Trustpilot. They're all obviously kind of done by people who booked. So they're verified. They're not the mates of people or the friends or anything. Facebook and Google are great, but there's no verification that they've actually paid for the service, if you get what I mean. Whereas Review and Trustpilot, you generally have to be a customer before you kind of get invited to review. Not always, but generally, type of thing. So they're a good place to check. But then, like I say, it goes back to making sure they've got atoll protection, so that they are a fully protected travel agent, that they're a member of a group like APT. APT is the main one, but there's groups out there, type of thing, that just make sure that the travel agent is working in a respected and reputable way. It then gets difficult because ultimately kind of there are so many providers, and what a lot of travel agents, and we do it ourselves as well, we work with a DMC, which is a destination management company. So they are the people who are kind of the ears on the ground for us in resort or in destinations, because obviously we don't have one-to-one connections with a lot of these people. So we will work with those people to kind of then contract local drivers, transfers and things like that for us. It kind of comes with experience, to be honest. Unfortunately, there is no kind of standard you can kind of go to and say these people are reputable. We as a company, and we personally will only work with suppliers we trust, and the ones that we know they haven't let our customers down where the transfer doesn't turn up. Transfers not turning up is a regular occurrence. If ever anyone's going to complain about a holiday, it will generally be because the transfer doesn't turn up. It's just, and
it's tiny things like that can feel like they've ruined your trip.
It's the beginning of your holiday. The beginning of your holiday, and the last thing you want is to be stranded at the airport when you're a bit jet lagged and a bit cranky and just want to get to the pool, and your transfer doesn't turn up. But transfers, honestly, is the biggest complaint you get, is transfers not turning up. It's just, again, it's a bus type of thing. There are so many factors that could stop the bus or the car from turning up, type of thing. So again, it comes to, when we book holidays with our suppliers, we just make sure we're only ever working with the suppliers we know use reputable DMCs or local companies to book those facilities in. That there's no kind of way to easily see that, unfortunately, other than, like I say, just making sure you're verifying who you're booking with. Don't take Facebook review. As much as I love a Facebook review, and I've asked for Facebook reviews, don't take them as gospel, because they can easily be friends and family of kind of the travel agents. And also, I don't know, I wouldn't take them as gospel at the end of the day. Google's great. Google's a great service as well. But just do check more than one place, I guess, is the best advice I can give for kind of reviews, and make sure that there's a consistent story on it, because it is very easy to manipulate any one of these review aggregate sites.
Cool. And what's new with you? What should people know? We're into our last 5 minutes. Again, it's come around so quickly. What should people know this week if they're thinking about booking any kind of travel?
So the big one is Peaks is coming. So I don't know if the general public are aware of this, but Peaks is generally the January period. Yeah, I hadn't until I started in travel, but I promise you'll know about it, mainly because when it comes to January, do you watch TV and every 15 minutes there's an advert for a travel destination? That's because it's peaks, ultimately. In the industry, we refer to it as peaks. It's because it goes crazy. Mental crazy type of thing. I think I had something like 30 inquiries in one day for Orlando, just by putting an ad out on Facebook. Because what happens is everyone has generally now, in normal terms, everyone has a really lovely Christmas. They kind of, obviously we get to January, which is the longest month, and they want something to look forward to. So kind of January is where everyone starts thinking about, right, I want my 2020 or 2021 holiday booked in now. So kind of all the travel companies bombard you with advertisements to kind of go, come to this great place, come to this great place. And there's a lot of noise kind of when January comes around. And a lot of them will kind of allude to the fact that these offers are only available now. They're available now. You can start booking those holidays now and start inquiring about those holidays now. It's just a case of January, they want to tell you that they're available now, but you can definitely start thinking, start planning and inquiring about kind of that 2021 holiday now, and kind of hitting the ground running. Because what will happen is as well, a lot of the limited availability, so kind of swim up, if you're somebody who loves swim up rooms, or you want to fly premium, you want to fly business, you want all inclusive, if you're in a resort where they've only got kind of so many all inclusive rooms and so many kind of half board rooms, they will either already be gone or they will be going kind of as we get through peaks. Now, there's a bit of a debate in the industry about whether or not peaks will come, just because of the nature of what this year's happened. But I think we've started to see that already. I think we're seeing kind of this pent-up demand of people who want to get away next year, are afraid to book, which I can understand, but they're kind of going, I still want to have something to look forward to. And I think that is just going to snowball and snowball and snowball. And I think whether or not peaks happens exactly in January or it drags on, but definitely it's gonna happen ultimately. So don't wait.
Are they the best deals though?
No, that's the thing.
Is it worth hurrying to book now, or?
It's just a case of don't wait until then. If you're somebody who has special requirements, so you want family rooms or you want limited availability, get ahead of the game. I want
an inflatable flamingo that won't capsize humiliatingly in front of the pool bar. Is there a holiday place offering that?
I'm sure we could find it if there is one, definitely.
I bought one off Amazon for Mexico last year, and it was only when we were at the airport and like my luggage was open that I realised that I had a load of children's things in my bag and no child, because we had like board games and the flamingo. And I also realised I hadn't checked inside the box. So if Amazon had accidentally sent me a box of drugs, I would know. I did not pack that box myself. And all these thoughts went through my head as we were going through Mexican customs. So like, there's definitely not cocaine in this flamingo. Like,
that question, did you pack your own bags? I was like, well, technically yes, but
and then I couldn't flatten it and get it back in the box. And Reese wanted me to leave it behind, but I wouldn't. I persevered. I was out on the balcony throwing myself into it like a WWE wrestler, like trying to deflate it like first thing in the morning so the people on the balcony next to us couldn't see what I was doing. It was yeah. But did I bring it home? Yes, I did. Yes,
that is a sign of mafia territory, isn't it? Having the giant inflatable hanging from the balcony so they know which one's yours. Like,
when did that become a thing though? Adults wanting inflatables. Like
it became a massive trend, didn't it? Yeah. I'm hoping it's here to stay. But I was tempted to buy an Ursula one. Have you seen the Ursula one? I'm pretty sure it was Primark that was selling it. But it's a giant, like, Ursula from, obviously, The Little Mermaid with all the tentacles hanging and everything. It's humongous, huge.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. I'm going to Google that immediately. Right. We've run out of time. So I will see you on the next one, I guess.
Yep. No, see you next week.
Where can we find you?
So yeah, best place is obviously here on Instagram, NJT Kieran and Phil, but also on Facebook as well. You can search us for NJT Kieran and Phil. We also have a website which is kieranandphil.notjusttravel.com, but links in the bio.
Cool. All right. Have a good week.
You too. All the best. Bye.
See you soon.